Thank you for joining us today for CEP Live on Facebook. I'm Sarah Dehart with Climate and Energy Project. I'm live at the Lawrence Public Library with Laura Downey and Melissa Arthur of the Kansas Association for Conservation and Environmental Education, also known as KACEE. And Laura and Melissa have joined us today to talk about a little bit about their organization, KACEE, and also to discuss an upcoming collaborative project called the Kansas Environmental Leadership. So welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
We're glad
to
be here.
Very glad.
We're glad to have you. I also wanted to just let you know that we're broadcasting live today from the Lawrence Public Library in their Sound and Vision studio, and it is a fantastic resource. I had never been in here before, and it's amazing. So I'd like to thank the Lawrence Public Library for all of their assistance and a specific shout out to their staff for being incredibly helpful today. So the Kansas Environmental Leadership is a comprehensive 3-day training that is going to be specifically focused on developing leadership competencies in the context of environmental education, and specifically around the wealth topics, so water, energy, air, land, transportation, and health. It's going to be July 16th through the 18th at the Kansas Leadership Center headquarters in Wichita, Kansas. And following the training, participants will be able to create a set of shared materials for statewide distribution to help organizations and communities talk about challenges relating to environmental issues. Scholarship funding is available to cover the training and associated travel costs, but I will note that registration is filling up very, very quickly. So please visit our website for more information and to apply and or be placed on the wait list if it fills up while we're doing this CEP Live broadcast. So welcome, Laura and Melissa. Thanks for being here today for CEP Live on Facebook. Would you please tell our audience a little bit about your work?
I'd love to. We're really glad to be here with CEP today, and happy to talk about our organization, the Kansas Association for Conservation and Environmental Education, or KACEE. We're a statewide nonprofit organization, and we've been around since 1969, and we believe the pathway to that is through environmental education. So much of our work centers around getting environmental education out to early childhood, K through 12, and to adults in the state, and supporting the amazing environmental educators who work throughout the state and in organizations like CEP.
Great. And your roles within the organization are?
I'm the executive director.
Excellent. I'm the director of operations.
Wonderful. And just so our audience knows how to connect with you, what's the best way for them to find you?
Best way to find us is through our website. It's www.kacee.org. You can also find us on Facebook and on Twitter as well at KACEE and KGS is our Twitter handle.
Okay, and we will make sure that we get that on Facebook Live for you.
Thank you.
So just a reminder to the audience, if you do have any questions, feel free to post them in the comments and you can join our conversation live. If you're not watching live, go ahead and post any questions that you have in the comments as well, and we promise to get to them as promptly as possible. So just to dig right in, often people think about environmental education and they think that maybe it's just for teachers or people that are offering nature experiences, maybe like agritourism or something like that. I understand it's a much broader field than that. So can you maybe help our listeners understand environmental education and how it may enrich their work?
Yeah. Learning is lifelong, and so we do work with a lot of adults, but we work a lot with K through 12 for a reason, and that is because by the time someone reaches adulthood, their values, beliefs, attitudes, and habits are already formed, and they're much more difficult to change.
Yes, and working with, we do a lot of our work with pre-K through 12 audiences, but we work with adults too, and we believe that environmental education is an important part of making our state and our communities healthier, more resilient, more vibrant and thriving communities and economically within our state. We think that education really sets the stage for a lot of work around environmental advocacy too, but we separate those two things out oftentimes, but we see that that flow of information and education and advocacy is really being on a continuum of the work that gets done in Kansas. And so we're really excited to be a part of the Kansas Leadership Center training for environmental leaders and explore with folks a little bit more the role that those tools can play in the work that they do.
Excellent, thank you. So just to touch on something that you just mentioned, how does environmental education differ from, say, advocacy work or providing information, maybe by tabling at an event?
So, environmental education is really aimed at a process, and it's about creating awareness and understanding about environmental issues and concepts that leads to responsible individual and collective actions. And so it's really focused, the education process is really focused on those processes like critical thinking and problem solving and even effective decision making. And as Melissa and I were chatting this over, we were talking about, maybe you've heard that analogy that if you give a person a fish, you feed them for a day, and if you teach a person to fish, you feed them for a lifetime. And that to us is a really nice analogy to talk about the role of information, education, and advocacy. So information, you might have a brochure about the kinds of fish that you could catch in Kansas, or even a manual on how to fish in Kansas, or maps of places to go fishing in Kansas. Those are great and important informational tools that can set people on the way. If you really want people to fish, however, they need an educational experience. They need to be engaged in a process. They need to be learning about how to bait a hook. They need to know how to safely get into a boat. They need to know how to cast a line. They need to know how to catch and release or catch and prepare fish, depending on what they're doing. And then if you move into the advocacy piece of it, once people are hooked on fishing, sorry for the fun, to get into the advocacy piece of it, you might have people who are engaged in making sure that our waterways are healthy and safe for wildlife that support the fishing that they enjoy and the recreation that they enjoy doing. So we like that as an analogy to kind of demonstrate where those three pieces sort of fit into that puzzle.
Yeah, so education is really setting the stage for the information and the advocacy to be effective, and we don't see them as discrete activities. We see them as a part of the same continuum, and oftentimes, they're intertwining and shifting back and forth.
That's a great analogy, thank you. So to get back to the Kansas Environmental Leadership Summit, it is a 3-day training, and it's aiming at developing current and aspiring leaders, specifically in the context of environmental work here in Kansas. And the first couple of days are going to be led by the Kansas Leadership Center, and they're going to work on developing core leadership competencies. And then the third day is where you all come in. So will you maybe help describe what we're referring to as the Environmental Education Capstone Workshop on that third day and how it ties into the previous 2 days?
Sure. So for those of you who have gone through the KLC, the Kansas Leadership Center training, you'll know that there's 4 competencies that they work around, and those are diagnosing the situation, managing self, energizing others, and intervening skillfully. And what's wonderful about this opportunity, and we're so grateful to CEP to be a part of this, is that those 4 skills of leadership actually work really well with education as well. There's skills that are important for being a good educator, and so this will dovetail beautifully with the opportunity that people will have for the first 2 days to move into looking at how you can use education information as tools for the work that you're doing. I think that during the workshop we'll be diving deeper into understanding those roles, giving good examples of what that looks like and helping people define it and understand it a little bit more clearly, maybe some strategies for how you can use those tools and some specific examples of educational strategies that are great for work in environmental fields, and then developing some time to do something that we don't often have time to do, which is develop some action plans for back home on how you might be able to integrate both the KLC and the educational tools that you're learning into the work that you're doing to be a more effective leader in the state.
That's great. And
Yeah.
go ahead.
The work that I've done at KLC has been so effective in learning the competencies and getting to practice them with my peers and in that context. And we really want to use this as an opportunity because leadership and education are both processes. And the participants in the workshop are going to be thinking all throughout the workshop about how does this apply to what I'm doing at home. And so we really hope that as the last day of this experience that we can be building bridges for everyone and working with you to take those leadership competencies and processes and really kind of filter them through this lens and through this tool of environmental education to get more clarity and more inspiration about how you can be effective at home.
And we had the opportunity at the same time that I think CEP had the opportunity to bring a group of people together, and we chose to bring our entire staff and most of our board, and it has been transformative in the way that we work as an organization. So I hope that if there are a few slots remaining, that you take advantage of this for your organization. I think this is an excellent opportunity.
Yeah,
It's a life-changing experience.
Yes, it
for
is.
sure.
We're all really, really excited about it. I, for one, am really excited to go back through the Kansas Leadership Center training and to work closely with the two of you. I also kind of wanted to know if there's anything aside from just the integration of those core competencies in the capstone workshop that you're excited about. Anything else that you're excited about for the summit?
You know, one of the things that I say to people all the time is the very best part of my job is the people I get to work with. And so I think we're both really excited to just be spending some time with people who are really passionate about the same kind of work that we're passionate about, and getting to know some people in new and different ways and supporting their work. I think that's critical.
Yeah, and ultimately our vision for our organization is growing a healthy, vibrant, and resilient Kansas through the power of environmental education. And so having an opportunity to interface with all of these groups who are doing such great work in the world and help them build their capacity through using these leadership skills and these environmental education skills is going to be a really great challenge for us, and it's going to be a lot of fun. We don't take ourselves too terribly seriously. We put on a rigorous workshop and we get a lot done, but environmental education is fun. It's a joyful endeavor, and we just really look forward to sharing that with everyone who's there.
And I can attest that these ladies are a lot of fun. I wanted to take just a quick pause and check to see if we have any questions from the audience. Okay, excellent. So are there any opportunities for engagement that you'd like to share with our audience today and our listeners about the work that you're doing?
Before we do, I would actually like to back up just a little bit. When we were thinking about how to best approach this workshop for folks who are working in the environmental field, we really felt like education sometimes is the missing link to having a strong presence to do environmental advocacy. And KACEE doesn't get involved in advocacy as an organization. That's not our role, but we respect and admire the work that advocacy organizations do, and it's a critical piece in the puzzle. And as we were reflecting on this, we were thinking oftentimes we're really good about getting information out to people. We share information. We do it through social media. We have great websites that have loads of information, even doing webinars and doing Facebook Live events to get information out. We're really good at sharing information. And then we want to jump right into the advocacy piece of it. And that works great with people who already think pretty much the same as you think. Where it doesn't work so well are people who maybe don't quite think that way or have a different idea or understanding about things. And to us, that's where education comes in. And it can be the critical link in getting people to move from a place of saying, yeah, I've heard about that, but I don't know if I want to do anything about it, to really fully understanding the issue and being able to make those good, informed, and responsible decisions about the environment. And so we think this is going to give us a really nice piece of in the toolbox for some organizations that can help them move further in the work that they're doing.
Excellent,
and so this is a new opportunity for us, and so it's new and exciting, and that's one of the pieces we're excited about. Other things that we're really excited about, we're going to be doing a couple of follow-up webinars with this cohort group that we go through to continue to share, and we don't want this to be an instance where we come in and we go, here's everything you need to know, now go forth and do great things. We do want to continue to be a support. It's very much in the model of CEP, and it's in our model too, that we don't just zoom in and zoom right back out, but we want to continue to have a relationship and be a supportive partner in the work that people are doing. So we're excited about that continued engagement piece of things.
Excellent. So if there are no other questions about anything, yeah, I just wanted to thank you all for your time and say that we're definitely really excited. The webinars that she was talking about, for those of you that are participating, there will be follow-up webinars, and we'll host a couple of them following the training, just to keep everyone engaged and keep these core competencies and the the capstone workshop learnings engaged and at the forefront of not just your thinking, but your practices within your own organization and your communities. And we do have a question.
Who do you think should go to this training?
So I would say that, and I would also like to hear what you all have to say. We are looking for current and aspiring leaders that are working with organizations or communities that have a focus on any of our wealth topics. And we refer to our wealth topics as an acronym. It's water, energy, air, land, transportation, and health. So if you have an organization that's working for water access or water quality, then I would absolutely urge you to apply. If you are working towards health equity in your community, that you would be a great candidate. If you're working with land use issues with your local government, and you're working for an organization that is working with the government to do that, then you would also be a great candidate. So I think that it's a really broad swath of folks that are eligible and that would be great candidates to participate. But I don't know if you wanted to add anything to that.
Yeah, I think anyone who is out in the environmental field doing this kind of work who needs engaged stakeholders and needs people to see themselves in these issues that you're working on, to internalize that they are part of the problem and part of the solution and that they can take action. When they have an experience through education, it really helps drive that from, oh, this is going on outside of me, and it's, you know, something that someone else is going to take care of, to really, you know, thinking about what is it that I can do.
Excellent. Well, if there aren't any final thoughts or questions, I would like to encourage our audience to let you know that you can follow us live on Facebook at CEP Heartland, or on Twitter, also at CEP Heartland. And you can also visit our website for more information about the work that we do, or also to find the application. If you can find it under our programs under Kansas Environmental Leadership. So thank you so much for joining us today for CEP
Thanks
Live,
for
Laura and
having us.
Melissa. We are so excited to be working with you for the Kansas Environmental Leadership. And thanks to all of you for helping us lead the way to a clean energy future.
Come join us in July.